We're talking to Mr. Rob Luna. He shares with us how you can actually close your wealth gap, save, invest, and spend wisely. And Rob gets into the nitty-gritty details of how to do just that. So we're going to be diving in. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee-yee. All right, Mr. Rob Luna, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my man. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm excited. I mean, right before we got in here, you had bucks walking through your front yard. Only thing I wish I was right there in Montana right now to take advantage of that with you.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a beautiful place to be, but you're also in a pretty awesome place, Nashville, and you have a lot of cool experiences under your belt, I'm sure, specifically working with some of the world's wealthiest investors and successful entrepreneurs and athletes. And, you're an alumni from the Wharton School and you hold an MBA from UCLA, Anderson, and you've been commentating on Fox Business and so many other, awesome outlets. Specifically, though, you have a new book out called Close Your Wealth Gap. And I'm really pumped about this because I know a lot of the happy hustlers out there can really benefit from the knowledge that you've attained over the years and years of being in the wealth management game and being a wealth strategist. And I really like this concept of closing your wealth gap. It hits for me because we all know it's there, although it's invisible in theory, it's not in reality. Like you see it. And it's something that we all need to think about closing if you want to live a blissfully balanced life, both personally and professionally. Like abundance financially is a part of the equation. So I'm excited to get into the weeds with you on all things wealth and building it. But before we get into that, Rob, what's something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Well, I mean, some people know, probably none of your audience, because I'm not that popular of a guy, but everyone looks kind of what I've done right now: Wharton School, UCLA, Anderson. Some of the things that I've done, that sounds really impressive, and it's all for the grace of God, and I'm super appreciative of everything. But I grew up super poor, gang-ridden neighborhood in Los Angeles. Lost my brother to gang violence at a very, very early age. First, in my family to go to college, own a home, and all those things. And so when you look kind of where I'm at today, that's great, but I'm actually probably proudest of where I came from. And it's all the trials, tribulations, and adversity I think that I've gone through in life that's really placed me where I'm at today. And really the position I'm in today, not necessarily dealing with all those wealthy people like I have over the last 25 years of my career, but helping the average person do exactly what I did: start from nothing, build a business, understand how important it is to be financially literate, and put yourself in a position in the greatest country in the world to really, achieve your dreams. And so that's what I'm doing today with my new book. And it's just super excited to have that opportunity to talk to your audience about it.
Damn, man. Yeah. I honestly, I didn't know that about you. And that is the kind of backstory that I really love to highlight. And it's humbling. It's inspiring, and I didn't come from, a silver spoon myself and went down the wrong path personally, got involved in drugs and violence and went to jail for it. And I was, making fake money for a hot minute and got big into counterfeiting. Like I went down that path, man. I was hustling before I was happy hustling. It sounds like you were too. And I think it builds a lot of character. And also you learn the hard way, and as you did, I'm sure many times over, it's something that can either break you or make you, right? And for you, man, like look where you're at now. It's awesome to see and that you come from those humble roots. I'm curious, like, what was that moment of transition? If you can kind of go back, like, what do you think shifted for you?
Yeah, well, I just think it was just I always had growing up very young. This was in, I'm old, man. I'm 49 years old, so this was in the late 80s.
You look
Uh,
good.
thanks, man. Early 90s in Southern California, when just there's drive-by shootings every day in our neighborhood, and it was just really a pretty bad environment. And so I was hanging around just because I was kind of born into it, gang members, and but I always just looked around me and knew that hey, there was something bigger in life for me. And I don't know if that was kind of God whispering in my ear. So like I said, really, I give all grace to God. I don't, whether you're religious or not. For me, that I think is the force that kind of kept me out of the things that my brother got into and ultimately took his life away from him. But for me, what it also was sports. I was heavily involved in wrestling. I wound up getting a scholarship, and going to college primarily because I was an athlete, and getting out of that environment is really what helped me. And growing up in that neighborhood where I was at, I couldn't see beyond the end of the road. And so going to college, meeting people from different countries, getting those different experiences really opened up a whole new world to me. And it was just kind of, well, one day in college, I saw this paper. We used to find jobs in the newspaper, and it said stockbroker trainee. I applied for a job. I got hired by Waterhouse, which was a big New York firm at that time. And I knew that was kind of my one opportunity in life to take all that street sense and all the experiences that I had, put it into something positive. And my goal was to be the best financial advisor in the world, which is what I really tried doing over the past 25 years.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, man. I mean, isn't it crazy like how it all just snowballs and like you became a wrestler, which probably helped, occupy a lot of your time and develop discipline, and then you were able to apply those street smarts to wealth management and as a stockbroker, and then building up your own practice and then selling it, right? And now I know you're really focused on like actually helping entrepreneurs and small business owners, not just like the top
Right,
0.1%, right?
right,
Which
right.
you were, because I know you said even your minimum to work with you was like 10 mil, right?
Yeah,
So now
last
you
few years
kind
was
of,
10 million. So we weren't working with the average person, unfortunately, at that point in time.
yeah, exactly. Like you said, the air's thin out
Yeah,
there. So now you're like appealing to, the everyday person that really wants to close their wealth gap. And I think it's so needed, A, but B, it's also like it's it's tough because there's a lot of misinformation out
right.
there. I really think it's just we're inundated with all this knowledge, quote unquote, but a lot of it isn't really like applicable, especially from the sense that the people sharing it are sharing how to and not how I.
Right,
And
right.
I like to learn from people who did it themselves.
Yep.
Not like you said, you and I would talked about like the rented Lambos and the fake jet like pictures. Like those people, they don't got a pot to piss in, but yet they're preaching financial literacy.
Right.
It's
What
like,
did what
what
did
the
you call
hell?
those guys,
You
Kerry?
know? Oh, furus, fake
Furus. Yeah, I'm gonna
gurus.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to steal that one from you. That's a good one, Furus. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's a good one. My buddy, I got a shout out to Chad, who initially said it, and I was like, dude, that's good. I'm giving you credit a couple times, and then it's gonna be mine. So you could do the same.
Yeah, after you give credit three times, it becomes yours. So just go ahead and use it.
Pretty much.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's that's one of the things. Like I was telling you right before the call, working with people at that level of wealth. Most of my clients came from attorneys, they're CPAs, agents in the case of professional athletes. So I wasn't even on social media to a few years ago, and so a lot of these furus, people that you're talking about, like I had never heard any of these people, but the world of social media treated some of them like they were gods. And like, lo and behold, when I started really pulling the cover back, not only was it not the greatest information, some of it was just factually incorrect. And people were making investment decisions, tax decisions based off of that. And so that's kind of been my goal. We were talking about this over the last few years is how do I take, the right knowledge, simplify it so that people could act on it, try to make it somewhat entertaining. Because at the end of the day, I went through 6 years of college, most of which was extremely boring, which is why people aren't doing it as much these days. But it's trying to find that balance, right, to where I don't want to dumb it down and make it so entertaining that that's all it is entertainment and it doesn't change people's lives. But that's kind of the mission I'm on, is to get people to listen to me enough to where I can give them some factual information that they could take home, take to their business, implement right away, and put themselves on a better track, which is, what I tried to do in the book.
Yeah, exactly, man. And, that's really why I appreciate you and your message so much, is because it's factual, but it's also tactical, and I want to kind of get into some of those tactics if we could.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, the book's genesis first and foremost, like what even called you to write it. And then, obviously I want people to, if they feel called and really like want to close the wealth gap, get the book, but talk to us high
Yeah.
level about the structure of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, everyone is hearing, because it's so widely publicized and politicized, about this wealth gap in the US, right? Which is essentially rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. We've been hearing about that for a decade now, but no one's really doing anything about it. Politically, there's people trying to throw government money at it. And we all know that, like the old adage, teach a man to fish versus giving them the fish. And so goes back to like what you said and what I've done. A lot of people would come to me, Carrie, is like, okay, how do I get to that position in life? And one of the things, when I first got my first job in the wealth management space, they said, okay, put down a list of all the people you know that have some money and give them a call and start there. Your inner circle is the best. Well, I didn't have an inner circle. I didn't know anybody who had any money, so I wasn't going to be able to do that. And so the idea, like most of your listeners probably, of someone handing something to you wasn't going to happen. And so it's, okay, if I wanted to reach a certain level of wealth, what am I going to do? And for me, as you mentioned, my first exit was a few years ago, was building a business that had enterprise value. And that's kind of what I'll talk a little bit about, and I talk about in the book, is kind of how do you build a business that becomes your biggest asset, that you can either later sell partial or the full thing, and it winds up being an amount of money that can change your life. And so the book, I really try to do two things. Well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. The wealth gap, people complain about it. They have wrong solutions. My solution to solve the wealth gap in America is twofold. It's number one, financial literacy, showing people the things that you can do at an early age to prepare yourself, to be able to count on yourself to support your family, and not have to worry about government handouts. And a lot of young people, even at my age, Carrie, like, I don't know that Social Security is going to be there. So we got to be able to plan for ourselves in life. And then number two, okay, that's great. You could show me, Rob, how to put money into a Roth IRA or do these things to create a portfolio that gives me passive income. But at the end of the day, I can't do any of that unless I can make an income. And I think today, Carrie, entrepreneurism is so much easier than it ever was before. It's so much more accessible. There's so much, even we joke about all the bad information out there, but there's also people out there. I try to do it through social media, guys like Alex Hermosi, guys like yourself, that are ladies that are giving out free information that you can put together a business, build a business, access social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter for free, a free advertising platform, and reach customers all over the world from the comfort of your own home. And so I really talk people into getting out of that 9 to 5 and starting a side hustle, and then hopefully transforming that into their old business. Because without somebody handing you money, you're not going to 9 your 5 or save your way to wealth. Building a business, I think, is attainable for the vast majority of people. They just don't necessarily have that roadmap. And that's kind of my mission, is to teach people that roadmap of how do you build a successful, viable, scalable business that's worth something. But along the way, we talked about this before, I know people that literally made $1 million a year in their own business, but they didn't have that financial literacy part to know how to put that away, save it, and eventually build that portfolio that gives you mailbox money every month that exceeds what you were making working. And that's what I call work optional. When you can just do what you're doing because you love it and what you want to do it, not because you have to do it. Because when you have a job or even your own business, and the other thing I talk about in the book is most people don't have a business. They just bought themselves a job and they don't even realize it. And that becomes the worst thing because, like you talked about it, you have again, I want to congratulate you, your first child on the way. You're working hard now so you can take some of Q4 off so you can be there and be present for your family. When you're working a 9 to 5, you're not going to have that opportunity. So there's so much luxury that comes with being an entrepreneur, especially if you know how to do it the right way.
Dude, amen. Amen to all that. It's like, and that's the funny thing. I see some of my like influencer friends, they'll get a brand deal. And I'm like, you literally just bought yourself a
Right,
job. Like, I get it. Like, I do brand deals myself, but like, you are literally doing X for Y. And if you don't build, investment portfolio, if you don't have, and I don't love the term passive income truly because all income has some type of activity
right,
to it to see, even just to set it up. Like
sure,
you need to be active to get to a type of passive
right,
income. I my friend Ian Stanley talks about
yeah,
almost passive income,
yeah,
and that's the
yeah,
goal, right? Almost passive income, but like even if you have an email list, like you need to send them an email to get the almost passive income that comes
right,
from it, right? Like, or if you have a course, like you had to create the course. So I just think, yes, there's a part of active, nature to all of this. But what you're talking about, financial literacy, man, that is the gospel truth, in my opinion, when it comes to wealth building. Like, this was such a big shift for me. I can even remember, like, in my early 20s, I got out of, college, I've started my own business, always been like an entrepreneur, but I learned way more about business in my own business in the first 6 months in 4 years of
always,
school. I don't know if that resonates with anyone out there, but but the thing was, I was like in debt, like credit card debt. I think I had like 16K debt, student loans. I had a soccer scholarship, but for the most part, I had like debt, and I was like, my spending habits were off. I was like, when I made money, I spent it, which I know I'm sure plenty of your clients did, and still people do. They overspend. But I realized, okay, if I'm gonna like get myself out of debt and like be serious about this money game, I gotta educate myself. If like right now, if you don't know what your APR is, or your difference between a stock or a bond, or like any of this stuff, like it's readily available at the touch of a button on your phone, right? But most people choose to watch Netflix or
right.
scroll Instagram instead of educate themselves with financial literacy. And so when I took financial literacy serious and I started reading books like yours, I went from 16K in debt to 20K in the bank in less than
Mhm.
12 months. And it was literally just the education. I was like young in my early 20s, like I didn't know anything. And I wasn't making much money either. It was just, I did more with the money I made. You know what I mean? I was traveling. I was like living abroad and like doing my thing, acting, modeling, little stuff like that. But it was such a big piece. I really just want to stay there for a beat because that's, what your whole book does is like educate people. And I do want to kind of get into a little bit of tactics even
Yeah,
deeper, if we
yeah.
may, when it comes to someone right now who is like, okay, I'm making some money, Rob. I don't know where to put it. Like inflation is at the time of this recording, like up on
Yeah.
7%, right? Like, where do you recommend like stockpiling money to actually get decent returns and to play the long game
Yeah, well, I
properly?
mean, look, I've made a lot of my money. I have a lot of my money today invested in the stock market, and I know that a lot of people have had bad experiences with stocks, and so there's a lot of negativity out there surrounding that. However, if you look at guys like Warren Buffett, and I'll tell you this, having worked with people that are worth hundreds of millions, a couple of billionaires, and some of them made their money in real estate, I don't know anybody, no matter how they made their money, that does not have some investment in the stock market. I always tell people, even if you're not going to invest in the stock market, you have to understand the stock market because it's a leading indicator of an economy and a representation of the economy. And people are impacted by it. People do make investment decisions, buying decisions based off of the market. So it's important to understand it. But, I always tell people you should have a good percentage of your money in the stock market. Now, that doesn't mean like chasing the next hot stock, trying to day trade or do anything like that. You could buy a passive index. One I talked to my audience about the other day is Vanguard has a mega cap ETF. And when mega cap, these are like the biggest companies: Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Netflix, all the names that you would own. Well, and it's like less than a tenth of 1% all in to own these names. Over the last 20 years, it's done about 12.5%. Last 10 years, 15%. It's worked. You can look at companies like Verizon. It pays you almost 8% just dividend yield. AT&T. So I think, the first thing, if you're just starting out, open up a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA, if you're making under about 160,000 right now, You could put $6,500 a year in there tax free. So meaning if you put $6,500 in there and it grows to 100,000, when you take that out, there's no taxes on it as long as you're 59. But you can take the money that you put in at any time out for things like school, things like a home purchase. So you do have some accessibility to it, and just buy some of these big passive cheap indexes. You don't need to pay asset management fees. You don't need to pay advisory fees. Start doing that, but do it systematically through dollar cost averaging. So every check, even if you're 18, every week put $50 in it. You start at 18, put $50 in a fund like I just talked about. By the time you're 55, you'll be a millionaire. You have over 1.3 million tax free. So that's just like financial literacy. If someone told, I didn't know this at 18, $50 a week, just put it in a fund like that, or the S&P fund, you would have had 1.2 million in your 50s. Now, does that change the world? Well, it does actually, because there's just a survey out there, Wall Street Journal, 56% of Americans cannot meet $1,000 emergency from their savings. Most people retire with about $36,000. So if we can at least do that for people, that's going to change things. Now, I want people to do a lot more than that. But if you start learning these financial literacy things at an early age and commit to them, it doesn't take a lot. The problem is, though, Carrie, is most people wait till they're 35 or 40. And then to get there, it's not $50, it's $1,200 a week. And they're like, I can't afford that. So what do? They do nothing. And ultimately, they become 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're working for the rest of their lives. You know?
Yeah, that's the damn truth. And it is the compound interest of, starting small but
Yeah.
building up. What's the ticker symbol of that one mutual fund, just
Yeah, I
so
think it's
people have it
VUG.
if they
Let
did
me
want
take a
to?
look at that. Hang on a second.
VUG.
VUG.
Yeah, I have VTI and VOO as well,
Yeah,
but I'm just
they're
curious.
let me see. Hang on a second. Vanguard.
Yeah, I love to give people tactical things, and like this is something that you could legit get an account with, Schwab, or who do you recommend using? Do you have a
It's
preference, a
MGK,
brokerage
actually. I'm
account?
sorry, is the one that I was talking about. But yeah, they're all good. VOO is another one that is an S&P index fund. Again, I think it's like 2 basis points. So like these are basically nothing that they cost you. Now, in terms of where you open an account, it doesn't really matter. I mean, now I use Schwab. We also have some money at Betterment.
Same.
Yeah, Schwab. I mean, it used to be TD Ameritrade. Schwab bought them, so you're getting less and less choice. But Fidelity, like the great thing is now, it's free to trade any of these to buy. And I tell most people, don't trade. Like buy high quality. The money is made in waiting, not buying and selling. That's the truth. Like if you bought high quality real
Yep.
estate 20 years ago, didn't try to flip it every time it was up 10%. If you bought high quality stocks, high quality private businesses, you just have to wait and avoid that temptation to sell because you're up a little bit in a short period of time, or panic and sell because the world is crashing, like we see happen every 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta ask, man, like, what's your take on Bitcoin and crypto? I mean, I'm sure your clients in the past
Yeah.
were like, "Hey, Rob, what do you think about this
Yeah.
crypto craze?" Like, what would you? I mean, I guess what percentage of your portfolio would you recommend investing
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that, if
it's a
any?
great question, and it's funny. I mean, that used to be what I got asked almost every day. Bitcoin, NFTs. Like
I'm
I don't even
sure.
get NFTs is when I don't hear anything about those anymore. Those are God.
Oh, those are such a joke, dude. I was laughing my ass off when everyone got burned. No offense,
Yeah,
but
no,
seriously, it's like, how
and
stupid
then
can
all
you
these
be?
crap coins that are out there. Look, I think Bitcoin to
Oh,
me makes sense longer term. Now, I don't think that it's going to replace the dollar. I mean, something might replace the dollar in terms of day-to-day currency, but as a storer of wealth, I think it is a good alternative. Why? Because you don't have foreign central banks, our own Fed, that can manipulate it. There's a finite supply that's out there. It's secure. And a lot of people are looking at it today, and I like talking about things after they've crashed versus at a high. A lot of people are looking at it today and say, "Oh, I missed it. I mean, this thing's done. It's over." I don't think that's the case. And if you look at any asset that's done well over long periods of time, they've all had huge downturns before they went on to make higher highs. Amazon, for example, I was there when they went public in 1998. Well, from 1999 to 2001, in just 2 years, that stock dropped 90%, 90. Had you have held on to $1,000 worth of it, though, you would have been a millionaire. And so it was before its time. People didn't quite understand what Amazon was all about. And I feel that's the same thing with Bitcoin. So I do, full disclosure, own some Bitcoin myself. It's not a huge amount, but it's kind of in
Mm.
my bucket with gold. I've got, probably now $1 million worth of PSA mint graded sports cards, these just tangible assets where you're kind of
Nice. Yeah.
hedging against the dollar. I think that's where this falls in. And that's usually maybe five on the lower percent to 10% on the high end in terms of those types of asset classes that you should be holding. Not a lot more, because the problem with Bitcoin is I love income producing assets. It doesn't produce income. The only way you do is to buy low and sell high. And again, so that's one of those ones. I've got some Bitcoin. I'll buy
Mm.
probably a little more every time it goes down. I'm not looking to sell. It's more a store of wealth for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Like I got a percentage of my, portfolio in Bitcoin, and I also have stocks and bonds and in
Yeah.
Roth IRA and stuff like that. That the principles. But I've gotten really interested in cash value life insurance lately, and I know I was talking about Garrett Gunderson, a friend of mine, and I'm going to introduce you to him. But he's been on the show and talked a lot about it, and it seems to be like, I know Chris Crone is a friend of mine too, and he talks a lot about cash value life insurance. I'm curious your take. Like, well, what do you make of cash value life insurance and like some of these policies? And just, I guess, explain it, better. You probably explain it a lot better than I will to people, but like your
Yeah.
overall theory
So
on it.
cash, first of all, I think.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
So, usually what I'm looking at with insurance, so someone like yourself, you've got a baby that's on the way and you're trying to solve for that. What you want to do is kind of figure out how much insurance would you need to replace your income. And kind of what I've always done is use the rule of 20. That's kind of a simple back of the napkin thing you can do. So meaning if you need $100,000 a year, you probably want a $2 million life insurance policy. And so how do I come up with that number? Well, $2 million, there's kind of a rule of five. You could take a 5% distribution out of that portfolio, increase it every year for inflation. 5% of $2 million would give you that $100,000 that you need. And if you're young, you can buy a $2 million 20-year term policy, 100 and something bucks, maybe $200 a month, very cheap. To get that same amount of permanent cash value life insurance could be 10x that, 20x that. And the reason being is when you buy permanent insurance, part of it goes to that death benefit that we're talking about. Part of it goes into a sub account that's going to earn some interest. And there's some benefits with that. But what I found for the vast majority of people when you're first starting out, new entrepreneurs, you're better off buying the term insurance and taking that difference and investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in things that are going to grow over time. Most, especially your audience is entrepreneurs. If you've got a good business, and I believe most of them will, putting that extra money, $500, $1,000 a month into your business is going to give you a far better ROI than it is in a cash value life insurance policy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
Uh,
interesting. I mean, it's first of all, I always want to know, like, to your point, the angle in which someone is promoting something. Like,
right.
it's, like, everything looks like a nail when you only got a hammer. Like, you have to look at
Yep.
and use discernment. All the happy hustlers out there, please. Like,
Right.
most people have an angle, and why are they recommending what they're recommending?
Everybody has an angle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like,
Yeah.
you got to know
I
it.
do, you do, and like that's why I always tell people, like, we all have conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
It's just understand what that conflict is. Like, make sure that's disclosed.
So true. So anyway, with that being said, use discernment when you are, going this path. The second thing, like, I look at it not so much as for the death benefit, although that is a perk, as more so like a safe place to store money that accrues at a guaranteed rate for the most part. Am I looking at it improperly? I know this is a selfish question, but I hope the happy hustlers can also benefit. Does that feel like accurate, like a safe place to store money that will accrue value at, a tax-free rate, with an interest of, they said 5%, give or take? I mean, is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's tough to give specific
Yeah.
advice because everybody's situation is going to be so different, and that becomes like the great thing about financial literacy and the great thing about math in general. There's not a lot of ambiguity. There's not a lot of gray to it. The thing is, if I knew all the inputs, yours, somebody
Yeah.
else, I can give you the mathematically correct answer. And so that's why things like the raw, the sales point about cash value life insurance is it's tax free. Not exactly true. You're taking policy loans. You're not actually getting your money out tax free. You're taking loans against that policy, which is how that kind of works. But a Roth IRA is tax free. And so even if I wanted to be really conservative, I could put that money into a Roth IRA. The great thing about interest rates going up, while it's made buying a home more expensive, it's made your credit cards more expensive, student loans, you can get 5.5% in a Betterment money market account right now with zero risk, 100% liquidity. You can take it out anytime that you want. And so you can buy long dated bonds, things that truly are passive, high quality, that you're going to get 5.5, 6%, and you can grow that in a tax free way. So I don't want to put it down because everyone's situation is different. I've used cash value life insurance primarily in my practice for people who have already accumulated wealth.
Mm.
And hopefully, this is where all your entrepreneurs are going to be. Now they're looking to pass it on to the next generation. And so, using some of that money and the death benefit to kind of leverage that and make sure that policy is there when they die, there's no term to it. It's a great wealth transfer vehicle because the thing about inheriting life insurance, it's tax free. It avoids probate. You just put a beneficiary designation. If you and I were going to, if someone says, hey, your rich aunt is going to die and you're going to inherit money from her, how do you want to do it? I'll take life insurance all day. I'll have it in my account next day, no taxes. That's the best way to inherit the money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and that's the thing, like, everyone's situation is different. Everyone needs to become financially literate
Yep.
so that they can best assess. And that's why, again, bringing it full circle, Close Your Wealth Gap is a book that everyone needs, And for those people out
Well,
there,
and I talk about insurance in there.
oh, you do? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I talk about term life and variable life, index universal life. I've talked about all those and when they might make sense for you.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to know if you have a reader who is maybe on the fence about the book, and you could, like, just share a message that you feel is the through line, that you feel is something
Yeah.
that could really inspire them to get off the fence, to get the book and really take this seriously. What would that be?
I mean, the through line is there's specific action plans. So I think, there's a little bit of entertainment in the book, but the core of the book is age-based action plans. So you asked me, like, what ETF? The truth is, depending on where you're at, where you're trying to go, I show you mathematically how much you need to put away. On my website that's coming up in a couple of weeks before the book's launch, I'm going to give you free calculators so you don't have to be an Excel wizard to be able to do this. You can find your own numbers. And that's the thing, right? Is I'm going to give them the information about what life insurance to get, However, you have to plug in your own name, your numbers to make sure what's right for you. That's the cool thing about the book is I'll give you the equation, go to my website, plug it in, and it'll tell you which insurance and how much to get it. And you're not paying anything more than 29 bucks for the book. And then also what I do based off of where you're trying to go is I give you sample ETF portfolios of fixed income, alternatives, stocks. So you could actually, that's the one thing I'm a big proponent, and I know you are because you told me this at the beginning of not just giving people enough information to get to come and buy more for you. If someone takes their time, which is their most valuable asset, and invest in a course of mine, a book of mine, I want them to have actionable strategies to where if they never pay me another dollar again, they can take that 29 bucks and leverage it. So there's, that's one thing I wanted to make sure. And I had a chartered financial analyst works with me to make sure all the data was correct. We have action plans. You can leave there 50 bucks a month, whatever you have. And there's and I tell you where to open accounts, what ETFs to buy, how much insurance. So the thing about buying the book is if you want to spend a little time and know what to do, become financially literate, not have to hire a financial advisor, and not have to guess at how much insurance or what ETF to buy, the book's going to do that for you.
Oh, yeah, man. Well said. And that's really, I just appreciate your message so much because you give them the damn truth. And it's such a refreshing, truth at that, because you have tactical things, you have actionable takeaways and things that people can do. I'm really sick of these theory books and books about
Right.
stuff that it's hard to apply. Like knowledge is universal, it's everywhere, but like the application of knowledge is what separates you and will change your financial future and also close your wealth gap. So where can people go to get the book? Like I'm sure they're probably like, where do I go
Yeah,
to
I
get
mean,
this?
yeah, I know, like Barnes and no, all the major books. I think it's going to be in bookstores. But I'll be honest. Like I usually send people to Amazon. I do own shares of Amazon, but not enough to tell people where to buy it. But it's just easy. If you go to Amazon, close your wealth gap, Rob Luna, you'll find it there. I think it's 29 bucks, and
Yeah.
I think it's a great investment in your future. You got to put in some work to it though. It's not super easy, but what I said is we're creating this website that'll be up in a couple weeks where all the calculators, all the calculations you need to take the information and then plug yourself into it, which is most important, which is here, let me tell you the scary reality about financial advisors also. So financial advisors do 99% of their work through software. And so really, and that's why AI is going to be so disruptive because it's basically taking your inputs. And like I said, the thing about financial planning and math is there's mathematically going to be the right answer. So if you tell me, should I pay down this or should I buy this or which insurance, based off of how much money you make, how much debt you have, what you're trying to accomplish, all things you would know when you plug them into there, you're going to get the same results a financial advisor would give you. So you might as well educate yourself a little bit, go there and do it yourself because the truth is you and I know nobody is going to care more about your money than you do. So you have to educate yourself.
Dude, preaching the truth. I love it. Guys, check it out. Closeyourwealthgapbook.com is also a really great resource because if you're listening to this right when it drops before October 2nd, you can actually get over $300 of free bonuses. I'm on the page now, and these are some pretty awesome bonuses. You got the Wealth Gap Masterclass, and you got the exclusive
Yeah.
access to your Lunatic book club, and you got the wealth calculators. So that's like, if you're listening to this right when it drops, which we're going to push this out in the pipeline to get it out before your launch date. But this is definitely, worth the while to just make sure you plug in your purchase and receipt order to that page. So we'll link it up in the show notes, but closeyourwealthgapbook.com. Rob, man, this has been phenomenal. I do want to put you through the happy hustle hacks and the rapid fire round. These are more of our traditional questions, if I may. First, talking about health. I know
Of
health is a
course.
priority for you. I like to call it happy hustle hacks, but really it's like a tip, a tool, a tactic, something that you do that's a little unique though. What would you say is a happy hustle hack when it comes to health that we could share?
Yeah, I mean, for me, one thing is I'm busy. I'm always working out all the time. I don't know how much of a hack it is, but I start every single day. I work out 6 days a week. the first thing I do is prioritize my workout. It's a non-negotiable for me because I know if I wait till later on in the day, I get tired, another meeting comes up, I won't make that workout. So that's one thing I do. And I'm a big meal prepper. I try to make sure that I've got my meals in the fridge or wherever I'm at. And when I travel, I bring protein bars or whatever it is. So I'm not stuck eating crap. And that's kind of not in the shape I used to be, but I'm still for 49 in pretty decent shape. Those are the two things that kind of keep me where I'm at today.
Hey, you look good, brother. I mean, I think it's a testament to your routine. So that's awesome. We talked a lot about money, but I do like to ask a happy hustle hack when it comes to money. Give the happy hustlers maybe like something tangible that we haven't talked about, that we could deem a happy hustle hack, maybe a way to save or invest or spend wisely, something that you do personally that you think we could deem a happy hustle hack.
Yeah. So what I'm going to give people is one of the rules that's actually in the book, and it's my 60-30-10 rule. And so 60% of the money that you make should go to your core expenses. So your house, your health insurance, life insurance, if it's something you need, food. I call it the non-negotiables, right? So if you make $100,000 a year for simple math, 60,000 should go there. Then 30% should go towards your discretionary things. So the really fancy clothes, or if you want the Louis Vuitton purse, or whatever it is, that 30%, the traveling around the world, whatever it is, 30% of it should go there. And then 10% non-negotiably should go into savings. Now, a lot of financial advisors tell you 20, 30%, but mathematically, if you start doing that, you will be able to, after 25 years, sustain your lifestyle by putting 10% away. If you could put more away, of course, do that. But I'm a realist, Corey. Most people aren't putting anything away. If I can get you to put 10% away, that's going to do it. So you don't have to read any more books. You don't have to guess. 60-30-10. If you're trying to find a budget from a financial advisor, 60-30-10 is something that's going to help you manage your money.
There you go. Boom. Love that. Let's talk about spirituality. I don't really care about one religion or another. I just think it's
Yep.
important to have faith in something bigger than
Yep.
yourself. And I know you believe in
Yep.
God. I'm
Yep.
curious if you have a happy
Yep.
hustle hack when it comes to spirituality and just like connecting to a higher power.
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I'm proud to say that. And it's so hard today to say anything without having to worry where we're at. That's just me, and it's a non-negotiable for me. And why? It's just I look, Corey, at what happened to people around me.
Oh,
A lot of them
Carrie.
not here anymore, including you know Carrie. Carrie. Sorry. I look at people around me. I just did Corey Redding on my podcast.
I know we talked about Corey ahead of
On
time
my
too.
um, so I look at people around me and what happened to them and where I should be at life and where I'm at today. And there's no other thing in my life besides that. And every time I've gone astray, when I put God back into the center of my life, everything just worked out. And that's, one thing I think, look, a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, you're going to go through a lot of trials and tribulations in life. You're going to have a lot of downtimes. You're going to have a lot of people telling you that you can't do it. Nobody is strong enough to get through those times on their own. To your point, no matter what it is for you, you need to find a higher calling, or I promise you're not going to be able to get through it. And for me, that's what it is.
Yeah, man.
Carrie.
Amen.
Carrie.
It's all good, bro.
Yeah,
That's
sorry about that, man.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Listen, I got Larry, Terry, Jerry, what, Carrie? I'm like, that's why I want to name I'm so focused on naming my son something that he won't get like confused on and spelling it different too. But I want to be unique enough as well. So that name's powerful, man. Like naming a kid it's a big task. Anyway, I do want to put you through the rapid fire round. You crushed it with the Happy Hustle hacks. This is where I just ask you honestly random questions and you just answer first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite food?
Ready.
Go.
Mexican.
Favorite book?
Stocks for the Long Run, Jeremy Siegel.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Scarface.
Favorite workout?
Oh, I would say legs, but that'd be lying. Probably bench press.
Right, right. Yeah, I hear you. The vanity muscles are always supersede legs, you know.
Exactly.
What's your spirit animal?
Oh, spirit animal. I'm a Leo, so I'm gonna say lion.
Nice. Best business advice.
Best business advice: work right to left. Figure out where you want your business to be. Figure out where you're at today, and start making every decision based off of where you're trying to get in the next 10 years.
Mm, that's gold. Make the noise of your lunatic happy hustle rebel yell.
Woo!
Love it. Three things you're most grateful for.
Oh, uh, God, family, and health.
And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what's that billboard read, Rob?
Get started now.
Boom! Crush that rapid fire round, Rob. And man, bro, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your financial literacy, this amazing book, Close Your Wealth Gap. I'm really pumped for you for sharing it to the world. I know a book is a labor of love. So thank you for putting the love in and putting it out there to the world. And yeah, just excited to collab with you and get to know you even more, man.
Absolutely. Same thing. Thanks for having me, and let me share my message with your audience. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Now, final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Happy hustling means work optional, man. That's what I was saying. Like, you build the business to where you do the things that you love and because you want to do them, not because you have to do them.
Boom. Mic drop. Rob Luna, y'all. Check out closeyourwealthgap.com or closeyourwealthgapbook.com. We'll link it all up in the show notes. Check out Rob on social, the Luna Rob. And, you know, you guys can look up all his stuff and his website as well, robluna.com. But thank you so much for watching and listening. We appreciate y'all. Peace and love. We are
Thanks,
out.
brother.